It's PHNX Cardinals live on a Wednesday. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Bo Brock. Welcome to your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Hey, let's break some news. The Cardinals have a new starting quarterback. Oh, is this a show from 2 weeks ago? Nah, it's live here 4 days before the Cardinals kick off their 2023 NFL season. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to my fine co-host here, Bo Brock. And look, Rap Sheet made it official today. It's Joshua Dobbs against the Commanders. Any thoughts, Bo?
Let me see if I can come up with something original for the moment. Nope, it's what we've been pounding the table for a long time, ever since the Arizona Cardinals spent a 5th-round pick to bring in Joshua Dobbs to the desert. And he was coming here to be the starting quarterback. It's not exactly your run-of-the-mill way that you find a quarterback, former 4th-round pick, journeyman, but he's the guy who's the best fit for the job. And here we go. He's a guy that was handpicked by this organization, this regime, and now we move forward. The gamesmanship, though, for whatever reason, I don't know, between Jonathan Gannon and Ron Rivera, and they both admitted that's what it is. It's going to continue all the way until kickoff on Sunday morning.
Can I go on my soapbox real quick here, or do we need to talk about Dobbs real fast?
I'd love for you. I always love this good Johnny soapbox moment. You're the soapbox king.
How sweet of you. Listen, in all tongue in cheek, this is something this show, and I feel like this show alone has telegraphed, right? In lieu of everything that went on with Colt McCoy, like, it's obvious. And what I would say to everybody right now, we've got 80 plus of you guys in here like this stream, subscribe to PHNX Sports on YouTube. Let's just all take a minute and be authentic, right? Like, we're going to come on this show during this season, draft season, whenever, we're going to be wrong about some shit, right? And we're at least going to own that we're wrong about stuff, right? I'm wrong about stuff all the time. I've missed on countless draft prospects. I didn't love Dennis Gardeck coming into the season. Prove me wrong. Happy for Dennis, right? But I'm not going to come on here and tell you that, I love Dennis Gardeck this all offseason, right? Because that's the inauthenticity that you guys hopefully aren't looking for. So we're here to be authentic each and every day. And our authentic take, because we had it sourced from the start, was this team loved Joshua Dobbs in the offseason. They made a miscue not paying him a little bit more. They had a false sense of security with Colt McCoy that blew up in their face. They sent a 5th-round pick to the Cleveland Browns, and they got their starter. And it was all but confirmed today by everybody else in Rap Sheet. And we know the team leaked it to Rap Sheet to be able to kind of get that puppy going. My co-host here had a chance to talk to Joshua Dobbs and Clayton today, Bo Brock. So as we mix it up and we go back to football, I mean, how do you think Joshua Dobbs is going to be able to handle this? Because, again, he's not talking like he is the starter, but he is. And certainly Clayton Tune is not talking like he's the starter.
Yeah, you talk to Dobbs, and obviously he's as advertised. You see him on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. The guy has it cornered, right? Every market cornered. Does a good job promoting himself, and very impressive guy, right? And he continues to do that, improve that. And he'll give you very thoughtful answers, well thought out answers. And he also said that as far as is he the name the starting quarterback on Sunday, he says, no, that's, you got to go ask JG that. Jonathan Gannon's the guy that's going to give you the answer to that. But then he went ahead and answered every question we had about preparation for the Washington Commanders. What does he have to do in order between now and then to get ready for Washington? How is he getting up to speed so quickly? Actually, the latter, as far as those questions go, this was Joshua Dobbs' answer to that.
I figured I was going to get it down pretty quick. Just being able to keep a good relationship with Drew, and then get here and dive into the playbook. Having last week, right, out there on the field with the guys, but also in the film room with the coaches to pour through kind of, hey, what are the differences from here and the last playbook I was in with them? How did you guys change stuff? Why are you calling these plays? Having that week helped a lot, and now being able to vocalize those nuances and stuff that I know or stuff that has changed to my teammates has been really good. So we're getting on the same page very quickly, which is what we need to do to get prepared for the game this week.
So there you go. I mean, he goes in depth on that, but basically said as far as picking up Drew Petzing's offensive scheme here, his previous relationship and his continued communication with the Cardinals offensive coordinator has benefited him, and it wasn't something that he wasn't expecting. And now it's just developing that rapport, that timing with his receivers out there on the field, how they come out of the top of their routes, how they are going, where they're going to be at any given point. That's the thing that he's going to have to lock in. It started today, tomorrow, and then, of course, Friday. And then, obviously, they're on the road to the nation's capital. So, look, Joshua Dobbs is almost probably more prepared than anybody that has been at the quarterback position in this organization since the new regime took over. And he's the most prepared and ready to play week one for the Redbirds.
Well, he's an astronaut, as people in the chat point out.
Right.
Cards Universe, he's an astronaut, and astronauts are very prepared for their journey. And I expect Dobbs. I think he's going to play well Sunday. We're going to talk about what that looks like here in a second, what that would need to look like for the Cardinals to stand a chance against the Commanders. But I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, there was a phone call that was made with an understanding between Gannon and Joshua Dobbs, and to a lesser extent Monti Ossenfort, like, come here and be ready to play right away. Right? We're not bringing you in here to hold a clipboard, right? Like that's cliche. They kept Jeff Driscoll, who they kept all offseason. He's on the practice squad. If you were ever going to start Clayton Tune and you wanted to give Clayton Tune every opportunity to be the starter, like, he would have been the starter. They would have named him the starter after they released Colt McCoy. And you would have said Jeff Driscoll is going to back up Clayton Tune, and Clayton's going to get us to Kyler Murray. And they didn't do that. They brought in somebody that they wanted in the offseason that has a familiarity. Not only does he have a familiarity with Petzing, but Gannon knows him and Ossenfort knows him. He was the ultimate, like, triple threat. That's why we were so befuddled in March when they did not sign him. We were sitting on that for like 2.5, 3 weeks. Like, when's it going to be? What are they doing? And it was over. I mean, like, his contract was minimal that he signed with Cleveland. Yeah. And I feel like Colt McCoy, not to rehash this, got into their ear in the best way possible. He ingratiated himself with the coaching staff, and they're just like, we'll just roll with Colt. It's got some good tape. And then they got into when the pads came on and people started hitting each other and you had to make throws, and he couldn't make the throws anymore. So again, like, Dobbs was very much a lifeline for this season. Like, don't get it twisted for a second. Like, they could have started Clayton Tune or Colt McCoy and been awful, and that would have fed into the national narrative. But because they went out and got this guy, they expect to compete with him. Will it look perfect Sunday? Probably not. But like, in a month from now, hopefully when you're poised to have Kyler Murray return at some point, you're going to get some good throws, some good drives from Joshua Dobbs, some momentum of sorts. I don't think their schedule within the first month and a half, 2 months is not something that he can't handle. I think he can handle it, assuming that the supporting cast is there. And I think it starts Sunday. I continue to pound the table. I saw everybody's doing their quarterback rankings right now, and multiple sites had Dobbs last. Like, Joshua Dobbs is going to play better than, I would say, a handful plus of quarterbacks this weekend. I'll put my reputation on that. The rookies are going to look like rookies. There's guys like Sam Howell that are they're touted without completing jack shit, right? And then you've got Dobbs, who, in my opinion, is flying completely under the radar with this team, and that's exactly how they like it.
Yeah, it's going to come down to, obviously, execution for a guy that's getting in late, and that's the biggest issue. And, something that is a storyline that at this point you don't want to spend too much time on. But, why didn't a deal get done in March? And that's just something that, I think that if Monti had a do-over, he probably figured a way out to get Dobbs in the building that early. And they thought they were just going to wait and see on Colt McCoy. And the lesson learned here is you can't wait and see anywhere in the NFL, because if you get caught, it's going to cost you big time. And, if you need any more proof, outside of, what this show's been telling you and Joshua Dobbs' comments and Ian Rappaport's report, just listen to Clayton Tune, who talked after Joshua Dobbs today in the locker room. If given the opportunity to see the field on Sunday against the Commanders, this was his answer.
Where you're at?
Good. I feel confident in my abilities and the progression that I've made through camp. I'm confident in the guys around me to make plays, and I feel good about it. If I were to go in, I feel like I'd feel comfortable and feel ready to go.
If I were to go in, just doesn't seem like, might have just not been thinking about it, that, that he's going to be, everything he's going to say is put under a microscope with the quarterback competition, but it just doesn't sound like a guy. It sounds like a guy who's been told he is going to be the backup on Sunday. Am I wrong there?
No, it's been that way for 2 weeks. Like, they've known. Even Gannon admitted it today to you and the rest of the media. Yeah, the players know the plan. Like, some of the parts of the media, maybe locally, didn't want to know the plan. This has been the plan. It's slapped everybody in the face the minute they acquired him for a 5th-round pick. Like, let's be smart here. Let's be grown-up adult football fans and decipher the fact that Monti Ossenfort is hoarding draft picks and had to give one away because the quarterback position in Minnesota was a literal dumpster fire for 5 days. They got embarrassed against the Vikings defense, which is not very good. So they picked up the bat phone and said, "Get me Joshua Dobbs." Now, I don't know how great he's going to play, but to me, it's like people are looking at this like, well, Clayton Tune failed. He's a 5th-round rookie. I think, first of all, he's got quarterback face. He's a great-looking guy. He made an NFL roster. He's going to back up. He's going to be a backup active on game days. Like, this is a huge roaring success for Clayton Tune. But at no point, and you outlined it well, should he have been the starting quarterback for a team that's trying to be taken seriously in 2023. And a lot of people scoff at that idea with the Arizona Cardinals, but like, you have to, more so even than like wins and losses at the end of the day. Like, I got to know what I have in Hollywood Brown in this system before I write him a check for $18 million a year next spring. Can Michael Wilson play when the pads come on against real defenses? What's going on with Rondell? You got to be able to decipher all that. You can't put, some guy who can't move and can't throw and can't operate, a la Colt McCoy, or somebody that's overwhelmed in Clayton Tune out there every Sunday, because you're letting down the rest. You'll lose the locker room. Like, I hear people like Gannon's going to be one and done. That's ridiculous. That's not happening. But for that, something like that to happen, it would have to be Steve Wilkes-esque, where you're putting in Rosen and everything else just goes to shit. Bradford's out there. That's the quickest way to ineptitude. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to get somebody we are comfortable with.
Yeah, and it seems like they're fully comfortable with a guy like Joshua Dobbs. Like, everything they seem to throw at him in the meeting room, and it's just going to come down to developing that rapport. It really is. But even without that, mechanically, footwork wise, like he's way ahead of where Clayton Tune is, coming in from, running kind of an air raid scheme, pretty much out of the shotgun his entire collegiate career. Like, you love the skill set. You absolutely love the skill set with Clayton Tune. But as far as what you need in order to play big boy football right away, week 1, that's why it's only been done 4 times by guys drafted kind of within the vicinity of a Clayton Tune. And that's why the Arizona Cardinals, they're making sure that they got a guy in Dobbs that's going to be ready for the regular season football. When you're facing ones the entire time, when you're facing probably Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, like that stout front 7, like that's intimidating for any quarterback, let alone a guy that was facing Tulane or Temple last year in his conference, like throwing 3 picks against SMU. No, I mean, this is the Washington Commanders defense, and it's going to be ready to go. It's going to be licking its chops for Dobbs. It definitely would have been doing it more so for Tune.
Robert in the chat, I haven't seen anything from the Cards on who's starting. Rappaport could be misinformed. Robert, Rappaport gets his information 99% of the time directly from the Arizona Cardinals. Rap Sheet broke the landing on the homework clause for Kyler Murray. Like, most of the time, with all due respect to Rap Sheet, when the Cardinals want something out there, they leak it to Ian Rappaport. Like, this got out there one way or the other. The Cardinals are okay with this going out there. Everybody in the NFL knew Joshua Dobbs was going to start for them. Like, again, phone calls are made. This is just now everybody can play catch up. We can play catch up now as it relates to Sunday Bowl, Brock. And I teased it in the show title and the description. What would a good day for Joshua Dobbs look like, given everything? I mean, he's been here for a hot minute, 2 weeks, right? I think he's going to play well. I think he's going to play mistake-free football, but I'm going to give you the floor. If we're doing our post-game show from with our friends at BetMGM on Sunday afternoon, and the Cardinals get a dub, or they're consistently competitive and they get a loss, and Dobbs plays well, what's that got to look like for you?
Yeah, I think it's got to be like around 18 for 32, high 50s, low 60s completion percentage, because I'm going to give him a little bit of leeway as far as not having played with these receivers even in a preseason game before. And accuracy is one of the knocks on Dobbs, but you like his arm strength, you like his mobility, you like his wits, but I think the accuracy still, especially when you're developing that rapport, is going to be something that you might not see on full display. But are they going to give him maybe some easy bunnies in the playbook as far as what Petzing scripts out and what he thinks can get some guys open and they're just easy throws? I mean, that can get that completion percent higher. But I think around 200 yards and hopefully throw for 1 to 2 touchdowns. I think that's a very real possibility for a guy like Josh Dobbs.
Jordan P in the chat. I think Dobbs is capped at 25 passes. I think they would like that to be the case, but if the Cardinals are playing from behind, like he's going to have to throw. I think a successful day is, for this first week, I saw somebody posted the over-under for points.
Yeah, I think it was Kyle Odegaard on was that DraftKings?
Yeah, 14 and a half.
Yeah,
that's tough. I would say if you can get 2 total touchdowns from Dobbs in some capacity, like maybe a 1-to-1 INT touchdown ratio, and then he runs for a touchdown, then maybe you get a 1 to 2 rushing touchdowns from James Conner. Like that's a successful day. Like 2 touchdowns to 1 turnover, however you get your 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care about the passing yards. But again, don't turn the ball over more than once. And then to your point, can he be around 60% completion? Can he make the open throws? Can he complete the open passes, I should say? I like this from Jordan, 18 to 25, just under 200 yards, a TD for Dobbs. if he doesn't throw an interception and the team doesn't turn the ball over, they're going to be in good shape. But, you're just asking a lot of him. But I don't think he's going to, vomit all over himself. I think he's going to be poised and productive. And I think he's going to get better as the game gets on. I think typically it's like, well, you've got your scripted plays, right? Under Kingsbury is always a disaster. I'm like, are these scripted? Yeah. What is this? You'll have scripted plays, and I think they will be very run heavy for James Conner and company. And then second, third, fourth quarter, I think Dobbs will get more confidence, and that's only going to bode well for them. That's what was our argument from the beginning. It's like, why are you poised to bring in Dobbs and not start him when he needs the reps to be able to get some momentum from this week to week 2 to week 3? You got back-to-back home games after this. So
yeah,
I am excited for what we can see from him, in part because you mentioned it. He's got a big arm and he can move. And that was one of the biggest reasons I liked Clayton Tune during the preseason. There's a big reason why I like BetMGM, right? BetMGM, They got a big arm for you to be able to save money every single time you're on the app. It's like Christmas morning with bonus bucks. How about bet 10, get 200 right now? You sign up with that bonus code, promo code PHNX. If you're the first time user on BetMGM, first of all, welcome. Wager through the app on the application for at least $10. You got to spend $10. You're going to get $200 in bonus bets instantly and additional winnings regardless of your wager's outcome. How about that? That's fantastic. Download the app or visit the app online at BetMGM. Sign up in at least $10 with your newly created account. Standard odds priced. You got to place the wager. So just standard odds. Once you place your qualifying bet, you're going to receive $200 in bonus bets regardless of your wager. Perfect for the opening kickoff of Lions Chiefs tomorrow, or you can wait. You can savor it on Sunday. Maybe put a little scratch on our sweet baby Arizona Cardinals. Sign up with BetMGM. Use that bonus code PHNX. Now, I mentioned on yesterday's show, I love all the props as it relates to rushing touchdowns, Dobbs, James Conner. Check out those promotions. Check out those props right now. BetMGM Sportsbook is here to help make you money, frankly. $10, you get 200 instantly, regardless of the outcome. Check out the show notes for more details. And now listen to our guy Shane Diefenbach talk about it in the disclaimer.
Problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
Thunderstorms in the forecast in Landover, Maryland, where it's the site of the Washington Commanders, just dumpster stadium there, just outside of DC. So you won't need your Shady Rays there, but here, when we're going to be at the BetMGM, you're going to want your Shady Rays, of course, out here in the Valley of the Sun. Get in on the greatest deal of the season using the promo code PHNX to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of those premium polarized shades from Shady Rays. Go to the website, shadyrays.com. Use that promo code PHNX. And also check out their store up in North Scottsdale and Kierland Commons. You can check out which shades you want to purchase, then go online and save some coin while you do so. They've got that risk-free purchase as well, where they'll actually, any lost or broken sunglasses, they'll replace, no question asked. Shady Rays, get in right now. Bolster your sunglasses, just all the sunglasses that you have, by using some Shady Rays while taking advantage of the deal of the season. 50% off 2 or more pairs, polarized sunglasses at shadyrays.com.
We're going to talk about Caleb Williams here in a second, but we do have the first injury report ahead of Washington and the Arizona Cardinals, Bo Brock. And it's pretty positive. Although I saw somebody in the chat asked kind of tongue in cheek, is Hollywood just going to be limited all year? And I think the answer is, yeah, I think he is going to be limited.
Yeah. He's on here with a hamstring. So he was out there catching passes, but the closed portion, he probably wasn't a full participant. He was out there during team and position drills, but I don't think he's in danger of not playing. But at the same time, hamstrings, they're one of those things. It's a finicky thing where it can be nagging. Ertz, that's a guy that's coming off the knee. He didn't play any in the preseason. He was activated off PUP about a month ago, and he just continues to be limited. He said it's nothing is for certain come week 1 for himself. So Ertz is the one to really follow closely this week and what his availability is going to be. I think Hollywood will be up. We saw Beachum on there. And then who was at the bottom of the list there? Producer Jacob. Yeah, Dennis Gardeck was full participant, which is great to see. One of their starting pass rushers is going to be available. So, yeah, I mean, last year was a bloodbath. And so to see a injury report that short, very, very, very refreshing, very good for the Cardinals. Now, on the other side of things, as far as the Washington Commanders, Terry McLaurin, he was out there on the practice field today for Washington. He seems like he's going to get the green light to go. And then we see today at his locker, Chase Young, he's saying he just needs to get medically cleared by his doc and is going to have a Zoom call with him. So it seems like Chase Young is pretty close to. So I think Washington's going to be damn near full strength as well. So nobody's going to miss out because of key injuries outside, of course, the Cardinals quarterback position with Kyler Murray.
Well, I think Ertz has everybody's grace. He's coming off a torn ACL. He's listed as tight end number 1 right now, and I don't know if there's no guarantee he's even going to play. But I mean, they'll be smart with him, especially with Trey McBride poised to take some of the workload. But as far as Hollywood goes, I see Blaine in the chat. Hollywood is always hurt. He's not going to get an extension from this regime. Here's what I will say on that: he needs to have a big year, and he knows this, to get paid, whether it's by the Cardinals or somebody else. And that's not to say you can't go in the next offseason and sign a 1-year prove-it deal with somebody. But, I mean, they traded for him, and not this regime, but the prior regime traded for him. And Steve Keim, 1,300 yards a year. He had just come off his first 1,000-yard season with the Baltimore Ravens in a run-dominant offense. They thought, okay, plug and play, especially as Hopkins got more expensive. I get it. It's Joshua Dobbs. But if Hollywood Brown needs to be the explosive playmaker these first couple of games for the Cardinals, and if not, it's something I alluded to yesterday, Bo, it's how quickly does this become the Michael Wilson show? If he can prove it, where he's leading the team in targets, because we already know he's going to be out there on rundowns. He's a co-starter now outside with Hollywood Brown. He was drafted and now developed by this regime. Hollywood, he's a great guy, super likable, but he's on a contract year. And what do you do in contract years? You got to ball out if you want to get paid.
Yeah. And I think that's why, even though you might see him show up routinely on the injury report, he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be in the lineup in case, unless it gets, barring it getting worse, right? Barring the hamstring, becoming a bigger injury, more nagging injury. It becomes, he had the foot last year. I think at some point he was dealing with ankle issues. So he's been dinged up, and, but he understands how important this season is for him. And in order to kind of get the bag next off season, whether it's here or elsewhere, it's going to be paramount for Hollywood Brown to be available and making plays for the Cardinals. And you're right. I mean, as far as who's as far as route running, as far as just elite speed. Like, he brings that to the table. And in this offense getting open and with a new quarterback, just being able to have open space between him and the defender, Hollywood Brown is the best number one target as far as who's capable of doing that.
Like, they're going to look, the coaching staff, who's helping Joshua Dobbs out this first game. Like, are you helping your quarterback or are you not? And that's going to be really interesting to follow on Sunday. Matthew, thank you so much. $1.99 super chat. I'm excited. Cards will be better than predicted. I'm excited for that opinion. I'm excited, and I welcome that take. Thank you so much, Matthew, for the super chat. I agree with that. If they are better, then they're not going to be in the sweepstakes, you would assume, for a certain USC quarterback in Caleb Williams. And I mean, he's going to be a talking point on this show kind of indefinitely until we know where things are with the Cardinals' first overall pick and Houston. But that has not stopped his father, Carl, from speaking to GQ magazine. Carl, this is what Carl had to say. And this is a sub quote of a much bigger piece. So I encourage everybody, go check it out. But this is from Carl Williams. And Caleb was part of this big photo shoot. It was, the new king of college football. Great. Caleb's a phenomenal prospect. But in terms of Caleb Williams going to the team that has the first overall pick, well, not so fast. This is from Carl Williams to GQ. I mean, I've talked to Archie Manning. His career was shot because he went to a horrible organization. I've talked to Lincoln Riley. I've talked to Kyler Murray. And Kyler struggled because of where he was drafted. Baker Mayfield struggled mightily because of where he was drafted. The organization matters. He also went on to basically say that we've got a break glass in case of emergency option. Caleb's got 2 shots at the apple, and that basically the NFL draft is a funky process, and that Caleb would almost be better not being drafted than being drafted first because the system's backwards. You go to the worst possible situation, the worst organization in the league, blah, blah, blah. So that took over Twitter this morning. We got to talk about it because, again, everybody correlates that with a bird on a helmet with Caleb Williams when you see that. So I'll give my opinion here in a second. But, Bo, you see that. What are your initial thoughts to old Carl Williams?
It's just kind of tough shit. I mean, that's the way that the NFL works. They want to take teams that are at the bottom of the league. They give them opportunities to expedite a rebuild, get talented players in the building. And, I'm sure it's scary for a prospect who has, the highest ceiling to get put in an organization that is especially just struggled, is at that time, if not the worst, but one of the worst teams in the league. Everybody would love to cherry pick where they want to go, but that's just not the case in the NFL. And, I would absolutely, if he becomes one of those prospects that wants to shy away from the Cardinals or any organization for that matter, because they're scared of the situation they're going in. It's just, I don't know if that's the competitor that you want necessarily. I'm taking this with a grain of salt, though. I mean, it's GQ's asking his dad, about the entire process, and sometimes we don't even go that deep. I'm going to take it with a grain of salt because our guy GM Saul Bookman sat down face to face with Caleb Williams. He said it would be cool to come to the Arizona Cardinals. And as the quote pointed out, he talked to Lincoln Riley, who was talking about Kyler Murray's experience coming out of the gates, where Kyler had some early success with the organization, but of course that tapered off. But this is a brand new organization, and they're going to see that, if they haven't already seen that, the new guy calling the shots in Monti Ossenfort, it's not Steve Keim any longer. It's not Cliff Kingsbury at the head coaching position. He's whoever the prospect is, whether it's Caleb Williams or somebody else, is going to be put in a lot better spot for success than previous prospects coming into this organization.
Yeah, it's something that I think bears watching, but I also believe, Bo, to your point, like, this is the quickest way for me to start talking about Drake May. Like, I called him Drake May bust, but maybe he's a bust, but maybe also, like, in all seriousness, this organization, if they dig their heels in on something like this, which I don't think they're going to do, you think Monti Ossenfort is going to beg Carl Williams to say, well, let me draft your son, please let it happen? Like, no, I don't think they're going to want somebody to come play for their franchise that doesn't want to go there and have that mentality you talked about, like the dog mentality, right? What did the players have on the front and the back of their their shirts or their workout uniforms today. What did it say, Bo?
Dog culture, and then at the bottom of their shirt tail is dog.
Yeah, I mean, like it's funny, it's tongue in cheek, but that's what they're looking for.
Right.
And again, I'm going to give Caleb the benefit of the doubt because this is not his words, and inevitably it's going to be his decision. I saw people on Twitter say his dad's making the call. Like he's a grown ass man. He can make this decision for himself. Plus the league, the Mannings run the NFL. Now then, previously, like Peyton was a god, Archie was a big time player. Well, I'm trying to contextualize
Archie to take care of Arch. Maybe get him to start at Texas first and stuff.
The point I'm trying to make is when Archie Manning and Eli Manning did that, they had some clout to do it, right?
Right.
I love Caleb Williams. Like, what has he proven more than somebody like Trevor Lawrence, who goes first overall and has changed the culture in Jacksonville, or Joe Burrow, 2 years in Cincinnati, dumpster fire, goes to a Super Bowl. Like, if I'm these other teams, these other owners, they don't want to play this game. Right? You think like this is not just specific to Michael Bidwell and the Cardinals situation. These other owners, whether it's Gruden with the Vegas Raiders or Washington's new ownership, like nobody wants to set a precedent. Like could be the Cardinals this year. Shit, it could be us next year with Deion Sanders on if he decides to stay. And I love the NBA. They do not want this to become the NBA where the players run 99% of the show, free agency, the draft, what have you. Like the NFL has a very specific way of doing things, and it makes people a lot of money. And the parity and the ability to flip a roster in 12 to 18 months and change a culture is why it's the greatest product in America, in the world, right? And so if you're telling a fan base, no, you know what, your ownership's a little shaky, like we're not going to send the generational prospect, even though you own the rights first overall, it's a horrible message, and one that Goodell is, in my opinion, will never tolerate. Not like Tagliabue did for the Manning family.
Right. And that's why it hasn't happened in forever, right? 20 plus years now, or almost 20 years. What is it? 2004 draft where Manning and the Mannings pulled that card and ended up having to flip flop picks with the Chargers, and they get Phillip Rivers. That worked out for him. And it's the Cardinals have a lot of opportunity between now and draft time to figure some things out. Right. Mainly, I see everybody in the chat. Absolutely. Kyler Murray, he's on the roster. He's still the top option for the Arizona Cardinals moving forward at the position. No doubt about it. And then even if they end up with the top pick, they've got the conversations that they can have between now and then. Obviously on the field of play, they can speak with their team and how it's performing and how Jonathan Gannon's coaching them up and how the offseason moves and cleaning house here and the new players they brought in and from the previous draft class, how much success or lack of success that happens under Monti Ossenfort in year one. And then the conversations getting Caleb Williams, if he's the guy and the Cardinals have the pick during the draft process in front of JG and Monti Ossenfort, and them really kind of telling what the new culture is all about. Like if the decision was made today, then look, if Caleb Williams' dad, Carl, he feels like it's the wrong situation, then he can have that opinion. But the reality is the decision isn't it's not for months from now. And the Arizona Cardinals have a lot of football to be played and a lot of decisions to be made between now and then. And also, Caleb Williams has to continue to play and continue on his trajectory between now and then.
A couple super chats. Thank you so much. Logan Little, $1.99, going insane, defending K1 and the new regime on socials. Join the club, Logan. Good to see you carrying the flag. Absolutely appreciate the super chat, my friend. Topic 64, front of the program, $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. I hope Higgins gets some reps. That kid is a monster. Bo, have you seen the new acquisition at practice yet?
Yeah, big number 84 out there for the Arizona Cardinals, continuing to play the tight end position, converted from the wide receiver spot out of Stanford. And, Jonathan Gannon said today, the rookies that made this roster, they made it for a reason. They're not just going to put them on the final 53 and the 46 that are up on game day just to kind of sit there and look cool in their uniform on the sidelines. They have a role for these guys. And I think that, Higgins, it might be a little bit longer of a process, but somebody I think this organization is excited about.
Absolutely. The Cardinals, to me, the way they embrace young talent, I mean, if I'm Caleb Williams, that would get me excited. This team is going to have an opportunity to showcase young players get better for the next 5 months. And I think you're going to see a lot of things come to fruition with this team being poised to take a a big leap. Love the super chats. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And again, much to the dismay of many, this is not going to be the last time this podcast talks about Caleb Williams, but he's a phenomenal college football player. He's a phenomenal talent. And hopefully we get a chance, Bo, to see him up close when USC comes to town to take on our precious Arizona State Sun Devils. But in the meantime, I'm going to hold out, and I'm going to go to Circle K instead of watching Caleb Williams, and because it's America's top thirst stop. Driving fans to download and sign up for the new app. Well. How about a free membership program? Save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. That might entice Caleb Williams to come to Arizona. Come hang out with us every 6 free on the selection of Circle K products. How about the best coffee, beer, ice cold fountain drink, snack selection? I've got some Circle K chips at my house. They're better than store-bought chips. I guarantee it. Join the inner circle right now by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details, Bo.
One of the best duos off the field is Circle K Snacks and OG's. Of course, multi-flavored bags. You don't want to miss out on these. Check out their full product line, what OG's Brands is doing at ogsbrands.com. Go to ogsbrands.com. Check out what they've got. They've got the fruits, they've got the creams, they got the mixed bags. You want to take advantage of those. They've got the Hall of Fame flavors that you don't want to miss out on. How about you got the red apple, watermelon, peach, blackberries and cream, orange creamsicle, peaches and cream. Our guy Sean DePaz says the strawberries and cream is elite. It's that happy balance gummy. Check out everything OG's has to offer at OG's Brands on Instagram, all your socials, and of course at OG's Brands. ogsbrands.com. You got to be 21 years or older. You can find them, of course, in your local dispensary all around the valley.
A lot of anti-Caleb comments here in the chat. I can't say I blame them. I mean, you can get excited about a prospect, but anytime he's like, I don't want to come to your organization, potentially through his father, that becomes tough sledding. Donnell in the chat, I'm good on passing on Caleb, self-serving media. Caleb hype reminds me of Rosen. Wow. Jose in the chat, Caleb has lost football cred. I saw multiple people say, let's trade the rights for the first overall pick to somebody else, get a bunch of picks. I don't think they're going to have the first overall pick through at least their pick. Houston's losing linemen left and right. You'll love to see it. We're going to be keeping track of what's happening with the Houston Texans every single football Sunday. They're a 10-point underdog to the Ravens this weekend. So go Lamar Jackson. Go. How about go John Gannon? Go, Bo Brock. You turned me on to this article from our friends at The Athletic today. JG was featured in a pretty lengthy, in-depth article from the folks at The Athletic talking about a bunch of stuff, as well as his relationship with Kyler Murray. Here's a little snippet from the article that we have for you today. This is Gannon on K1 from The Athletic. Zach Kiefer, quote, he loves ball. He loves ball. That was the other thing, the narrative on him, completely wrong. Completely wrong. We've asked him to do everything we've asked him to do. He's done, and more so. Have I challenged some of his actions that I didn't love? Yes, and I've talked to him about that. And again, I encourage you, go check out the article. But I mean, the bromance between K1 and Gannon is evident. We have said that many, many times on this show. It's a real partnership. It's a real coach-quarterback partnership that didn't exist with Cliff Kingsbury. And Gannon is going to give Kyler Murray every opportunity to seize this job and keep it in Arizona.
I mean, the biggest key there is that he challenged him on some things that he didn't like.
Right.
And the old regime, the old coaching staff, that was not going on. That was not. They would cater to K1, and that's because they knew that their wagons was hitched to the success of Kyler Murray, and they thought that that was going to be the best way, obviously, to keep him happy and also for them to be the most successful, and that had a ceiling to it, right? You saw the success there years 1 through 3, and then you saw the league push back in year 4, and now he needed some real coaching, and then now he's got it here with Jonathan Gannon and Drew Petzing and everybody in that organization. JG also said he's convicted, completely convicted. As long as I'm here, JG says, he can be here as well. And you look, that's what you want to hear, right? I mean, as much as what's going on with Kyler Murray, and obviously you can't see him out there with this new coaching staff taking the field and his new teammates and old teammates against the Washington Commanders on Sunday. But all this other stuff is exactly what people have been wanting to hear about Kyler Murray since they drafted him. And for Jonathan Gannon to be the guy to come in here, embrace him, challenge him, it's exactly, I think, what the doctor ordered for K1.
So much good stuff in this article as it relates to Gannon. It mentions both something we've talked about, that really kind of intense film session that Jonathan Gannon had with a bunch of players, I think back in June or May, in which he got on some folks and then even had an assistant come in and was like, yeah, I think might have gone too far. But I'll tell you, the feedback from Kyler and some of the players like DJ Humphries, they liked it. They wanted, this team wants to be coached hard. And again, there's a narrative, and I put this out on Twitter today as it relates to Gannon and K1 in this franchise right now, where it's like, it's funny. People kind of laugh at K1 and they laugh at Gannon, but in all actuality, it's like, does anybody remember where this franchise was before Kyler Murray? Does anybody remember what took place during the coaching search? Dan Quinn pulled out. Brian Flores pulled out. So you've got everybody and their mom on Twitter saying, this is just a terrible decision by the Cardinals. This guy's going one and done. Why couldn't they get somebody better? Number one, this show and only this show has been adamant since day one. They were fortunate to get Jonathan Gannon, given the state of the franchise. And then number two, it's like, what do you want them to do? Like, Ossenfort had to come in and clean up the mess of the prior regime with Steve Keim's stench still all over this franchise. They're paying out Cliff Kingsbury and Vance Joseph, right? Adrian Wilson leaves. It's just people who are uneducated, who don't, for their own reasons, follow this franchise, want to say, look at the Cardinals. It's the same old Cardinals, when all actuality, like, this was a highly thought after head coaching candidate that the Cardinals were lucky to secure. There were candidates we were not a fan of, Bo, throughout the process that they could have, quote unquote, settled for. They waited a little bit too long to get Gannon into the building. And now it's like they haven't even played a game and everybody wants to write them off. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It's not. It's great to hear a guy like JG drowns out the noise, right? He probably doesn't even pay attention to that. When he was asked about this article, he was asked to kind of confirm, especially the convicted quote about Kyler Murray. It's like, when did I talk to those guys? I can't remember when I had. He's so locked in as far as the day to day and getting this team prepared. So to think that he's ill prepared, I mean, in the article it says he hasn't felt overwhelmed at all his entire tenure so far as Arizona Cardinals head coach, and that's because he's been preparing for this moment his entire career. A guy that passed up, probably multiple college coaching jobs because the NFL is where he wanted to be. He wanted to put and keep himself on the fast track to becoming an NFL head coach. That's his dream job. And this is his dream job, and he's not going to relinquish it just because people say, hey, look at this roster. It's not going to compete.
Yeah. Do you want to be a contender? Do you want to be challenged, right? It's the same question I'd have for Caleb Williams. Do you want to elevate others, or do you want easy street, right? Philadelphia had a big fat check from Jeffrey Lurie and company and Howie Roseman saying, you're going to be the highest paid defensive coordinator in NFL history. You're a made man here. We appreciate you. And he said, you know what? I'm going to take similar money and I'm going to be one of 32 to a place where the GM believes in me. And he says this in the article. I have a franchise quarterback, which means I can win, right? That's why all this one and done bullshit with Gannon. Ossenfort hired him. Ossenfort will not be one and done. Ossenfort is not going to fire Jonathan Gannon. People go one and done. You get a coach like Steve Wilks with a prior GM that's had some success and he can just run through head coaches, right? This is a plan. It's all part of the plan. So we can't sit here and speak about Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. and all the picks in 2024, but also say, you know what? The product's not any good this fall when no one has realistic expectations. You're out of here, Jonathan Gannon. You're fired. Like, everybody has these takes and narratives and they don't add up with each other. Their own logic breaks it in half. And that's the most confounding thing. Gannon was coveted and wanted. The Cardinals were lucky to get him, and nothing has changed from the time they hired him back in February.
Right. And he was identified the previous summer, right? When Monti Ossenfort realized he was going to get some opportunities the following offseason to be an NFL GM, somebody gave him the idea of, okay, you need a short list. And Jonathan Gannon was right there on that short list as far as guys he identified as future head coaches. And, the way that the NFL offseason set up, as far as when you can interview a guy and when you can't, JG had previous conversations with the Houston Texans, and it seemed like that was going to be where he landed. The Arizona Cardinals, once Jonathan Gannon became available again and DeMeco Ryans was the next head coach there, Ossenfort just needed to touch base with JG and make sure that they were going to have that conversation, that interview, and that's where the tampering came in. But look, these two guys, they're in lockstep. I love what Gannon in the article said about scouting, how most NFL head coaches just kind of scoff at scouts and their opinions and have their own formulated opinions that are, he said like 80% of them are bullshit, right? And that they need to be kind of working in concert with these scouts and really value their opinion, because guess what? Jonathan Gannon has a scouting background, and that's so important, especially in a rebuild, to know. And like, if you look at this roster, and it's littered with rookies, right, who are going to get an opportunity to play Sunday and beyond. That 6th-round pick out of Louisville, that just screams of Jonathan Gannon doing his homework on him and using his scouting background to know that the kid from his alma mater is going to be able to come in here and compete. He won a job. He outright won the CB2 job with the Arizona Cardinals.
You know what that tells us too is, like, I'm confident in my coaching and our development program that Keitrell Clark can have success. Not, I need to sign Ben Neiman for a vet minimum contract because he's been in the NFL for 10 years and can absorb what I'm saying for better or worse, right? I don't have to teach and educate and coach. I can just sign veterans, even though it's going to hamper our on-field product. That's the opposite of what this franchise is doing now. Topic 64, thank you so much. 999 Super Chat. What if Josh does a Geno? We all want Josh to do well. Healthy competition is good. Josh may make people make some tough decisions. People are sleeping on Josh and the Cardinals. I think Joshua Dobbs has a chance to stick on this roster into next year. Absolutely. Like, I could see a scenario if he plays well, they're not going to let him leave. He could be the next Colt McCoy for this regime. But there's so much to be written with this quarterback room for 2024. It could look the same. It could look completely different. And it all starts this Sunday, Bo Brock.
I mean, when Kyler Murray inevitably comes back this season and he's back in his starting role, Joshua Dobbs just becomes, at this point, a better backup option. And then you can get Clayton Tune back on a better trajectory to develop as a 5th rounder and get on a better schedule that way, where I think everybody benefits from it. And, Dobbs can be now your new quintessential backup, and Kyler, of course, is your franchise quarterback. And then you revisit things this offseason to where I think you can get, Tune potentially to a spot where he's either QB2 or competing for it, or Josh Dobbs becomes the incumbent the next season. So it looks like a completely different room and a way better room than it did, even 2 weeks ago.
We want to see you in our room this Sunday, BetMGM. How about that? At the Great Lawn at State Farm Stadium, the Arizona Cardinals may be in Washington. We will be here repping our birds. It's the watch party, all away games at BetMGM Sportsbook at State Farm Stadium. Myself, Bo Brock, BG, Britton Golden joining the team this football season. Join us. Food, drink offers, giveaways, ticket specials, prizes, and more. How about this? You can get in, do a little dabbling on some cards props with your boy. I want everybody, if you haven't already, sign up, BetMGM, bonus code, perfect time. You come into the watch party, slam that bonus code PHNX, then, slam a couple of brewskis with your boys, have some tremendous appetizers, right? The wings, the nachos. We're going to be there early, like super early, because we've got a pregame show to do, kicking off at 9:30, taking us right up to kickoff, halftime show, and then, of course, your definitive Arizona Cardinal postgame show immediately following the Cardinals win against the Commanders. Ball. It's a perfect marriage to kick off the 2023 NFL season.
Yeah, I can't wait right now. RSVP now, so you get your spot reserved at the BetMGM on Sunday. And if you do, I think Johnny didn't mention this, if you are wearing some of our PHNX gear, like this cool hat I've got on, like Johnny's got, the Southwest Bias shirt, the Greg Dortch new shirt that I just got word, mine are shipping. They're going to be here by the end of the week. I'll be wearing my new Dortch tee on Sunday. If you roll up wearing some PHNX swag, of course, beers are on us. We're going to buy you a beer because that's how kind we are. And we appreciate you joining us at the BetMGM Sportsbook this weekend, Sunday. And of course, if you don't have that PHNX swag, go get it for yourself. Go PHNX lock or go PHNX.com. And of course, the PHNX locker.com. You can just load up on gear. Great t-shirts, great hats, right there, the PHNX locker.com.
Everybody take we're going to call it a quick bathroom break, because
take 5.
Shortly after this podcast goes off the air, another light comes on, and it's the premier Arizona Cardinal podcast extension of this fine show. Bo Brock, Saul Bookman, the premier of the All-Purpose Podcast, the Greg Dortch Show, coming up immediately following the conclusion of this podcast. What are you guys going to talk about, Bo Brock?
We're not going to press him, of course, on the quarterback issue, but how's old Josh Dobbs looked in practice? How's his ball coming out? How's he gearing up as Mr. Dortch goes to Washington for week 1? We'll get into those conversations, plus have some fun with our guy, the playmaker of PHNX, Greg Dortch, as he's gearing up for another season with the Redbirds. Can't wait to break it down myself, Saul Bookman, of course. Greg Dortch. Don't miss out right here. It's coming up in a few moments from now on PHNX. Johnny, anything else before we get out of here?
No, just everybody. We appreciate the support. Of course, like and subscribe. Check out the watch party this weekend. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. And again, go grab yourself a 4 Peaks. Come back and check out the debut of the All-Purpose Podcast with Greg Dortch and company. For Bo Brock, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you tomorrow.